Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you, Lord.
When the Pharisees with some scribes who had come from Jerusalem gathered around Jesus, they observed that some of his disciples ate their meals with unclean, that is, unwashed hands. For the Pharisees, and in fact all Jews, do not eat without carefully washing their hands, keeping the tradition of the elders. And on coming from the marketplace, they do not eat without purifying themselves. And there were many other things that they have traditionally observed, the purification of cups and jugs, and kettles and beds. Some of the Pharisees and scribes questioned him, "Why do your disciples not follow the tradition of the elders, but instead eat a meal with unclean hands?" He responded, "Well, did Isaiah prophesy about the hypocrites, as it is written? This people honors me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. In vain they do worship me, teaching as doctrines human precepts. You disregard God's commandments, but cling to human tradition." He summoned the crowd again and said to them, "Hear me, all of you, and understand. Nothing that enters one from the outside can defile that person, but the things that come out from within are what defile. From within people, from their hearts, come evil thoughts, unchastity, theft, murder, adultery, greed, malice, deceit, licentiousness, envy, blasphemy, arrogance, folly. All of these evils come from within, and they defile." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
I can remember receiving my very first car. A couple of my cousins had driven this. It was a little Chevette hatchback. And it spent some time at IU, and then it spent some time at Purdue. And during the whole time that this car was running, the oil had never been changed. When I got the car, I had to put new brakes and tires and change the oil on it. First thing I did was change the oil. And after we had changed the oil, because back then you did it yourself, when we changed the oil, the car did not start. And we tried everything, and it would not start. Someone said, "You should not have changed the oil." But how often do we go through life and we don't change our own oil, or we don't do a spiritual checkup, or we don't check in with God? We come and we go through the routine, but we don't do anything with it. We say we go to confession, and then 5 minutes later, we get back in our car and we're chewing everybody out around us. Or we go to the store and we cut that one person off just to get that one spot closest to the door. Or we run up to MCL because we see the slow person getting ahead of us. Speaking from experience. How often do we do all those things with larceny upon our heart, or with jealousy, or with greed, or with envy? How often do we say, "Well, Father, I would like to go to confession, but Father, I would like to, but We have all these excuses. I didn't make it to Mass because the Super Bowl was on. Well, it don't start till later in the evening, but Mass is in the morning. So what allow you to tell me now? Matter of fact, I'll even come to your house and do it there. Do Mass there. Well, we're a little bit, okay, I see what it is. But every once in a while, we have to purify ourselves, we have to check in, we have to reorganize, we have to reorientate, we have to realign ourselves with the precepts of God. And the way we do that is by giving of ourselves to Him in many different ways. By giving of Himself in the sacraments, by giving of ourselves in the sacrament of reconciliation. And when we come to Mass, we just don't keep this gospel to ourselves. We actually do something with it. We don't become hearers of the words, we become doers. And when we look at the interior of our heart, we look and see what is weighing us down, what is holding us back, or what is barricading the door so Christ cannot enter. I remember days of old when I had to go in some people's houses, some of them just look and stand at the door and like, "I'm not going in there. There's too much in there." we ever take an inventory of ourselves, of our own heart like that? Hey, there's too much in there, and I need to clean out some of the clutter. This thing is weighing me down, and I'm just going to leave that at the altar. I'm going to leave that at the foot of the cross. Or, hey, Father, I need your help because I need to discuss this, or flesh out that, or walk through and whatever else. Or I'm going to go to therapy and check on and do that. Or we're going to go to marriage counseling, or whatever the case may be. Do we do that? Or do we just carry around all this dead weight that is weighing us down and hoarding on to what is keeping us from God? Those things we can clear off and clean out. Dust a little bit, run the vacuum, clean up the cobwebs, and make it presentable for God when He wants. Because when we look at the interior of our heart and it's a place prepared for Christ, beautiful things happen. But if it's one of those houses you go by on Halloween and you see that all the lights are out and the curtains are closed, you know nothing is happening there. And you know you're not getting candy there. But let us open the doors, turn on the lights, clean dust, and prepare ourselves to receive our Lord in the interior of our hearts. But more importantly, in the blessed sacrament, the Eucharist. When we receive God, there's a place there for Him to dwell. There's a place for Him to be carried around in a vessel of holiness, ourselves. In the tabernacle of our own heart, a place where only goodness and rainbows and unicorns and sunshine dwell, not that place of darkness. Because you know some of those people you see, you just see them coming and you're like, oh, I can't deal with you today. I haven't had my pot of coffee yet. But let us be that ray of sunshine, that ray of hope, that ray of light in different people's lives that we encounter, so that we're not one of those that when they see us, we're like, oh no, here they are again. Let us be doers of the word and not hearers